What's up? What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Hey, everyone.
Everybody.
Man, I am tongue twisted today. Welcome back to the Sharpest Tool. I'm your host, JRP, here with Nicholas Bosco, and we're back for another fun-filled episode. No jokes today. Man, it has been a bit of a week here at Scorpion. So I feel like sometimes, Bosco, dealing as we roll into summertime for a lot of home service businesses, this is like the peak time. So everything gets really busy. Not just for our clients, but for us as well, because we're constantly revamping strategies based off new targets.
The pre-planning stages. Yep.
Man, it is ongoing, but we want to continue to bring value to all of you. So thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. And if you ever have commentary or questions or things you want to hear more about, please let your account manager know if you're a Scorpion customer, or feel free to write into the Scorpion chat and on our website and let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. But today I thought it'd be...
please. I want to touch on that real quick. Like,
Bosco.
Please, guys, let us know. I actually had a client write over.
Yeah.
They were actually saying, thank you for the podcast. Very insightful and knowledgeable. Please keep doing them. So feedback. We want to hear feedback. Like, also, if there is, to his point, a subject you want to touch on, let us know. We want to talk about it.
Yeah, this is all for you all listening. This isn't just to appease JRP and Bosco on a Thursday afternoon, even though we love hanging out. If you're ever in town and we're in town and you're at the Scorpion building, we would love to have you on the show. So
I got a seat. I got a seat right over here.
Right over there. And there's
right
there's a spinning Scorpion right next to, is it still there?
It's still there.
But today I thought it'd be cool to touch on something that's really interesting. We've been hearing a lot of noise around this, particularly in the market. We were on a great sales conversation with our sales team today. We were talking through some of the challenges that they see business owners face today. And one of them that comes up, and I think it comes up pretty frequently, is if you're new to digital. And by the way, this could be new to digital, like you're just starting your business. This could also be you're a well-established business with a free-flowing operation. You got a lot of revenue coming in, and you're new to digital. And both have a challenge that you have to overcome in order to set your business up right being on digital. So I thought it'd be a good one for us to tackle, Bosco.
Yeah, it's interesting too. When I've spoken with a few business owners, people who have been in business for 25 years, first of all, phenomenal. It is not easy by any means to be in business that long. So that to me is, you've done it. You've really hit a good benchmark for yourself. But even some of those businesses that I've spoken with who've been in business for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, then start to branch into this new landscape called digital. The digital landscape itself is so diverse that in Google's eyes, you're brand new.
Yeah.
Welcome to the digital landscape. How you doing? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, now we're going to get inundated to get ourselves out there, because as we know, it's a digital age. Everyone's on their phone, computers. You've got the goggles. It's like you've got so much happening right now.
The goggles. We should do an entire episode.
People walk around with those.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna get something in here just to kind of keep on. But it's all about technology, all about AI. But if you're not invested into the digital landscape, you're missing out on opportunity. So you've got to get into it. But people always ask, like, one, how do I get into it? Where do I start? Or I've been in business so long, why am I not seeing the same results as I was before? Like, what's the difference? It's because you're new to this world, right? So it's really understanding, how do I kind of get my foot in the door with this?
Yeah. It's so interesting, right? Because for business owners who have been in the business for a long time, those are the ones that are really, like, it's easy to explain digital to somebody who hasn't been involved in it before, right?
Sure,
and they're getting their business going. And this is just a natural part of the conversation. But for somebody who's been doing handshake agreements for 40 years and they're running a $6 million op and they've never really touched digital that much, they probably actually, coincidentally, if you've been in business for 40 years, you're on digital, even though you're not on digital, if you know what I mean.
Digital,
there are plenty of places that scrape information, but there's business information online about you that are getting pulled into directories. And so you're already getting this kind of pseudo experience. You might as well do it right because you're getting pulled into digital. But what's interesting is when you have these revenue streams, whether it's you've done, your door knocking and you've been door knocking and you have a revenue stream for door knocking, or you have a revenue stream for mailers or Valpak or canvassing or whatever it might be. You're doing home and garden shows, right? There are no shortage of opportunities that are not digital related that have gotten you to where you're going. And when it comes to branching into digital, one of the first things for every business to understand is the first goal of getting into digital, if you're new to it, is you have to take that offline experience that you have, the business experience that you deal with your businesses day in and day out, the reputation that you have, the brand feel that you have to take that and put it online. You have to take all of that reputation and make the online reputation as powerful as the offline one is. Because just because you have good word of mouth does not mean that Google and every online directory and all the online algorithms are going to see you in the same way that your word of mouth referral base is going to see you in.
Right.
So for one of the first things you have to do is, how do we take all of that reputation energy that we've spent 40 years building? How do we move that online? That's the first thing I think you got to really make sure you're tackling.
Yeah. And business owners, what they do, especially the ones that have been around, so on these that we're touching on. So again, for newer businesses that are starting up, typically that's what they go to is, hey, let me just start online.
Yeah.
But for the ones that have been around, the handshake agreements, the ones that have been doing this for years, but the challenge that they start coming into is, I need to grow more.
Yeah.
I want to grow more. So now it's like, what's next? And so they come to this digital landscape. And so you've had all these different levers that you've pulled in terms of growing your revenue. So you've got some sustainability there. But now, to your point, how do we replicate that online so you can still build up that ramp period? Because you're trying to acquire new business, and offline will take you so far.
Yeah.
Online's going to take you so far as well.
Yeah.
Right? But having those two work hand in hand, that's how you're going to grow. And you need to understand where that attribution's coming from, the subsidizing of pulling dollars left and right, where it's going to come from, because it's not always going to be equal. It's not always going to be consistent.
Yeah.
But you've got to start thinking, okay, how do we replicate this process to ensure that my reputation shows up well? I start building authority. You've built up authority with clients offline, but now you've got to build up authority with clients online as well as Google.
Yeah. And so I think there's a couple things that you said that were really interesting. And we were talking about some of them this morning when we were discussing some of the challenges that roofing clients that we work with have, right? And one of the big challenges they have is so much of roofing in that particular industry. Pest control is the same way, for what it's worth. You have a lot of door knocking that happens. You're going door to door. You have door-to-door salespeople who are working to get them. Solar's this way, right? So there's a lot of industries that have a revenue stream tied directly to salespeople who are going into houses. You might have a door knocking if you're an HVAC company and you heavily index into new installs, right? And you're going into communities that historically have old units, and you're door knocking to do whole house sweeps. So that's just an example of like one potential revenue stream that you're already seeing an ROI on. And potentially that's a big portion of your business. So the challenge is now we're getting into, you want to get into digital. There's an assessment of like, okay, what do we need to do in order to get into the digital space and actually get to a point where we can see some level of ROI from it and continue to build upon and grow it. And the challenge that a lot of business owners face here is there is an upfront investment when you get into digital that needs to be subsidized with other revenue streams that you have coming in. I think that's the first piece, because when we think about tackling digital, if you're new to digital, there's two functions. There's a long-term approach and there's a short-term approach. There's a long-term impact, which, by the way, ultimately is going to yield the best ROI out of your digital investment. And then there's a short-term approach, which is going to get you the more immediate need. It's going to get you the leads quicker, right? That long-term approach is that SEO focus, getting you ranking on Google and the other search engines as the most trusted, authoritative expert in a particular market for what you do. Then there's the paid search approach, where you're paying to play, so to speak. And that's where you're getting top of the search engine visibility, right? Yeah. And so sometimes I think it's almost missed sometimes that, well, how am I going to fund this? Well, you got as a business, you got to fund it with what you already have coming in. And sometimes I think it's tough to see one with the other. We want to keep things so separate rather than think with, how do we subsidize this for the time being until this becomes a viable revenue stream, right? Yeah,
and keeping things separate is good to a degree. You want to understand performance-based, right? You don't want to lump everything in together and kind of go, I don't know what's working, what is, what isn't. You want to understand the attribution of things, right? And there's a client journey that we have to understand too, but backing up a little bit in terms of the investment opportunities.
Yeah.
You are essentially, if you've been in business for so long, you're generating $6 million a year, you're your own bank.
Yeah.
You are now generating a new service line in terms of how you're going to acquire new clientele. So you're going to have to essentially take a loan from yourself. You've got to take some money out and go, okay, I've got to invest it over here now. Well, what is that? What happens when you take a loan out? Well, you're basically operating in the red for a bit.
Yeah.
But you're looking to acquire new business to then pay yourself back, right? So looking for that ROI. So you have to remember that it's going to take some investment. You've got to pull from what's working to then invest it, acquire new clientele. It's just how we have to operate in terms of growth. But in terms of what you were saying, that how things are performing, we want to make sure that we are understanding the attribution aspects of everything, right? Because each lever is going to pull. You want to understand because things perform, but they all work together. I might go door to door and someone didn't buy from me right away, but I've left my business card. Okay. Now, it didn't necessarily close from me having that conversation, but now it was a business card. And guess what? Maybe they actually wanted to find me online to see my reputation. What if I didn't have an online presence? That's a missed opportunity. What if I did? That's now another source that they found me. This is speaking to the client journey. So now they've looked up, started looking at my reputation, looked at my website. All right, you know what? They actually can probably help me. They've now called the number on the website, not the card, not from the sales rep. So now that those 3 steps happened, all of a sudden it looks like it's coming from an organic play of a digital presence, but ideally the client journey fed into it, right? So we still need to understand how these things feed into each other. But in terms of starting that, yes, you've got to take an investment out on yourself to pull it over. So a loan from yourself, essentially. So
yeah. So there's a few things that I think you called out that are really interesting, right? It's we're going to fund your investment into digital from somewhere. Now, for a brand new business who's brand new, ideally you have some startup capital that you're able to drive, or you're heavily investing what you are making from doing your own sales to be able to get to the point where you're investing into digital. And so some of that might be, I'm going around and of every job, some people have a very sharp investment principle, right? It might be a 30-30-30, where 30% of it is going into, or like, a third. A third of it's going into personal fund. So it's what I'm paying myself. A third of it is going into business operations, and a third of it I'm reinvesting right back into the business, right? And so that might, or like a third of it's going to like taxes, right? So there's some sharp investment principles, but early on you're going to be investing a lot more into this because you have to stand up the business, so to speak. Now, when you're well established, this is a matter of, okay, how do we think about what we need to invest into? Well, let's just take a real life example from an SEO perspective. I'm a plumber and I am in the Orlando market, right? In order to rank well in Orlando, I have to be investing aggressively enough to outpace all of the other people that are trying to do the same thing. Pure and simple.
Exactly.
And so that cost of investment of time, energy, resources, money, that investment does not change because I don't want to invest more, right? So if I undercut myself by investing a smaller percentage, I won't achieve the outcome that I'm ultimately after. Now, the benefit that a business that's well established, who's been running door-to-door sales, or they have their own revenue streams from all these different things, but they're new to digital, the benefit they have is they have already revenue coming into the business that we can then invest over here to be able to get the start on digital. But you got to think with that in mind. The ultimate goal is to get ranking in the area for where you do business for the stuff that you do business with, right? The jobs and the services that you do business and the area that you do business, and getting you ranking for the keywords there, which leads to an organic presence and an organic ROI that'll manifest itself because you'll get calls coming in from that effort. But the ultimate goal there is get ranking in those areas. So you're found. So when somebody in those areas is searching, you are found. That's going to take an investment of time, energy, resources, whether you do it internally at the business or whether you hire a company to do it. There's going to be an investment there. And so you're going to subsidize that for the short term until that becomes a viable revenue stream. And the same principle applies, by the way, if I'm in Orlando and I want to open a Kissimmee office, right? I have to subsidize that somehow. I got to get money over there to be able to fund that Kissimmee office. I have to get the office space. I got to hire the team that potentially is going to service that area. I potentially have to do some local marketing there in order to start drumming up awareness. I'm already doing I'm already having to pull money from one area to the other to be able to jumpstart that engine. The same principles applying to digital. So that's something to think with as you're jumping into that to get the ranking engine going.
Yeah. And I think too, like I always try to put in perspective for business owners to understand, in terms of their field or their trade. So for example, as a roofer, you know that it's going to take X amount of dollars to do a re-roof, right? So the homeowner has to understand this is what it's going to cost to re-roof your house. But then the homeowner is like, well, I'm only going to give you this much, and I still expect that to happen. No, the investment cost to re-roof it, to do it right, is this much. Same concept when it comes into doing online presence. There is a certain aspect that I totally agree with that you have to invest into to be able to actually rank well for a given area. Or if you're going to pay to play, you've got to pay to play. And certain companies who've been around for a long time and have the dollars to support it can pay to play consistently, right? So there's a give and take in both fields. I love that call out too, in terms of the organic side. The function of SEO 100% is to get you to rank in an area you do services in the areas that you serve, right? It's like to rank in that market, right? Be in front of those searches that are happening.
Yeah.
And I was just speaking to somebody earlier today about that exact scenario, that organic leads is a function of that. It's a result of that. So SEO is definitely a lead driver, as we all know.
Yeah.
But how is it a lead driver? Well, the ultimate goal for SEO is if you're ranking on page 1 in the first spot in maps, right? All of a sudden now you're showing up, you're going to get those calls undoubtedly. If you're down at the bottom of the first page, you're not going to get those calls. So it's a function of the ultimate goal of SEO, getting you to rank within the areas that you serve and for the services that you provide. And a quality lead, and I know you've called this out and I love it, a quality lead is exactly that. When a customer calls you for the services you provide in the areas that you serve, that's it right there.
Yeah.
That's a win. You've got to really work to close it. Now you're building this digital presence.
What's funny is if you work that backwards, just thinking about that, what's an ideal lead for me as a business owner? An ideal lead for me is somebody looking for what I do in the area that I do it, right? Just like you called out. Now work that back. So the next order question that I need to ask myself is, great, how do I find the people and get in front of the people who are looking for what I do in the area that I do it? Well, that's the whole goal of SEO, right? The whole goal of SEO is to help you be found based on those two premises, right? That's exactly what SEO is geared to do. So getting into digital, that's got to be tantamount to your strategy. Like, is that, that's the underbelly, the foundation, and that takes time to build. That trust takes time to build. Now, one of the other aspects about SEO that you want to index heavy on is reputation. Reputation. In the world of Amazon reviews, in the world of reviews on Google, reviews on Yelp, everything pulling into the search engine, reputation is a signal to not just your end customer, but a signal to all of the online advertisers and the online search engines that you are the trusted, that's the trust part, you're the trusted expert in what you do, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like a business owner that has been around for 25 years, when they just start on SEO, and let's say they've done well within a given area, without digital presence, they'll actually have a greater chance of performing well from an SEO perspective because they have that reputation. So all of a sudden, when they start getting found, oh yeah, I know them. So there's a reputation aspect that we can't leave out, and I agree with. And a lot of business owners think, well, if I just give you JRP, if I give you $1,000 here in paid advertising and 3,000 for SEO, you're just going to get it to rock for me, right? Well, no, there's so many different variables and aspects we think with and have to remember and recall. So that's a good call out, is that reputation. We can't forget that part.
Yeah. And that has such material impact on so many aspects of your digital presence. Material impact on helping your SEO perform so you get found where people are in your service area looking for what you do. It has a material impact when you run paid advertising on how well your campaign performs. Well, and that could be the difference between, for example, getting 5 leads instead of 2. And that has a material impact at the at-bat opportunities that you have. That also carries into your sales conversations. And most of you know this. If you're watching this and you're like, man, I've been in this for 40 years. Like, I get reputation. I love that you get reputation. But what we want to call out here is that reputation has to translate onto the web. So everybody on the web sees that. If they don't see it, then it's as if it doesn't exist to them. No matter how good your word of mouth and referral reputation is, if it's not on the web and you're working on digital and you want to get into digital, it might as well not exist to Google. You are a brand new business, right? You're a brand new business and you have to build that trust and authority through that.
Yeah. And ultimately, for any business owner out there right now that's listening, if you haven't started your digital presence, you've just got to start it now, right? It's a long-term play ultimately, because you're building not only the reputation with new clientele that are looking for you, but you're capturing the repeat business. And you can't forget about that, because that online presence, your customers that are repeat still use online services. And they're going to eventually look for something. If you're not there, they may falter away and go to somebody else. But ultimately, too, you're building it up for Google. You've got to build up brand presence for Google. They got to recognize you as a most authoritative and trustworthy person out there. So how do you do it? You got to start now. start getting the website, start pulling in your reputation, start getting your listings, start getting that going, that foundational aspect, and you got to get going on your SEO.
Yeah, man, I couldn't have said it better. The only other way I might frame it is there's a saying out there. What is it? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
SEO is a bit about the same. Your digital presence is about the same. Hopefully this was helpful, everyone. If you have questions, definitely drop them in the comments below. But we really appreciate you tuning in. If you know somebody who needs to hear this, somebody who's not involved in digital yet, and you're like, you know what, there's so much meat in here that I think this will help them move in that direction because you've seen success, please share it around. We need to make sure we're continuing to share this information around. But until next time, go ahead and hit that like button, pound that subscribe button, like you mean it, so you can continue to get more of this awesome content. And from all of us here at the Sharpest Tool, namely Bosco and I, we'll talk to you next time.
See ya.